Story time on when my mom kicked me out of the house and told me not to come back. So my mom was a security guard and she worked nightly shifts. And I'm not gonna lie, once I hit high school, I used to sneak boys in and out of the house. Now at the time I was dating a boy, he was 18 and I was 15. Let's just call him Vomit. So one night Vomit came over, and of course at the time my mom was working. So you already know we was doing grown things. You already know we was doing grown stuff. So then I hear the front door open. She starts calling my name from the bottom of the stairs. And you already know I ran over there because I got nervous. So I hurry up, I put on all my clothes, and I tell him to hide in my closet. So I go downstairs and I ask my mom, I'm shocked that she's home so early. Like, why is she home so early? And she said that she had an early shift that night because her job closed early or something like that. So then I hear him walking upstairs and me and my mom look at each other. I ran up those stairs so quick. And then my mom said, you have 5 seconds to come downstairs right now before I beat your ass. Like for part 2. Part 2, when my mom kicked me out of the house and told me not to come back. So then I came downstairs and she told me she better not see no guy upstairs inside of her house or I'm getting kicked out. And so of course I told her, I was like, listen, I'm really sorry, don't kick me out. It's just, he's my friend. So then Vomit walks downstairs and he still has no pants on. And my mom just looks at me in shock. She's like, how old are you? He's like, I'm 18. Why? And I'm just sitting there like, this boy cannot be any more slow. Like, you know this is my mother. She said, get the hell out my house. She smacked me hard as hell across my face and told me to get all of my stuff and get out her house. Because she quote unquote didn't raise no hoe. So I got all my stuff, I left, I went to my friend's house, and I never seen her ever since. I am now currently living at one of my family members' house, but they told me that I have to get a job and help pay the bills. So that's what I'm doing now.
Extremely toxic best friend story time. So when I was in 8th grade, there was this boy. And this boy would go around telling almost every girl that he liked her. And I was one of those girls. And he would do stuff with all of us. And there were like 11 of us. So we all hated each other. Especially this one girl, and we're gonna call her Abby. And every time we saw each other, we would be super mean to each other. Well, a year passed, we stopped talking to this kid. And I bumped into her at homecoming and basically apologized. So after that, we became best friends. And everything was good until every time I told her about a guy, she would start talking to them. Like this one boy that I was Snapchatting and talking to, she accidentally sent nudes to him and said, oh, sorry, I meant to send them to my boyfriend. So then she called one of my other best friends and said, no, it actually wasn't an accident. And of course he told me because he was my best friend. So I was like, whatever, and stopped talking to the boy. And she did it again, like for part 2.
Had a crush on my brother's best friend. We're gonna call him Pedro. One day, my brother and Pedro had a plan to go to the beach together, and then Pedro invited me. And I was like, let me check if I have something to do. I don't. I'm gonna go, Pedro, don't worry. The night before, I was like, I need to look scandalous. Like, so scandalous. So I remember I wore this 2-piece bathing suit. So long story short, the day came and we went to the beach. So we get to the water and immediately I go in. I wanted to show him, like, I'm a bra girl. Oh, this is the best part. So I'm coming out of the water and I'm trying to look like a baddie. Like, I'm trying to walk out all cute, like the hair is wet and everything. And I noticed Pedro was looking at my legs. So I was like, maybe he's trying to shoot his shot. So I went to go tell him something. And I was like, why do you keep looking at me? And he was like, look at your legs. I look at my legs. There's a whole ass piece of poop from the beach water.
This is why you should never leave the table when you're on a blind date. One of my best friends and I worked at the same restaurant. When I came in later that day for my shift, she told me a crazy story. She said that her first table were this guy and this girl, and she could tell they were on a first date. The girl was nervous, so she ordered a glass of wine. As far as she knew, the date seemed to be going well, and the girl got up to go to the bathroom. Right when my friend was about to come over and bring the silverware, she saw him put something in her wine. My friend, obviously terrified and freaking out, let our manager know, who then let the police know, and ran into the bathroom to tell her what was going on. The girl ended up staying in the bathroom until the police came, arrested him, and escorted him out of the building. It was noon on a Tuesday. You don't think you're going to be drugged at noon on a Tuesday.
told my husband I was gonna be at the spa all day long. I wanted to see if he was gonna bring the neighbor around to cheat on me some more. When I got in the car to leave, I get a message that he sent to the neighbor. Like I said, I had planted an app in his phone, so I was receiving all the messages he was sending and receiving. And of course, he sends her a message saying, hey, my wife's gonna be at the spa all day, we're free. And she replies saying, perfect, I'll come over. My stomach dropped. I drove around for a bit and waited for her to get to my house. Then I see she sends him a message saying she's there. That was my cue to go back to my house to catch him in the act. I race back and enter the house super quietly. I go into the living room and don't see anything, so I assumed they were in our bedroom. I go up to the bedroom and no one's there. And I see they're in the backyard in the pool. I pull out my phone and press record. I run downstairs and I surprise them in the act. They were both naked and my husband jumps out of the pool and wraps himself in a towel. Our neighbor stays in the pool. My husband says, I was gonna tell you, I swear. It gets worse. Part 3 is up.
My future mother-in-law is the absolute worst person I've ever met in my life. I'm 30 years old and my boyfriend is 31 and we've been together for 8 months. He's the sweetest and most caring man I've ever met in my life, but the biggest surprise is when I met his mother. I'm a natural redhead, so when we sat down for dinner, she asked me if my parents had the same color hair. And then she proceeds to ask me, does the carpet match the drapes? I looked over to my boyfriend who seemed equally as shocked, but he didn't say anything. And when I didn't respond back, she said, don't worry, I'll ask my son about it later. She then went on to attack my appearance and said my hair was too curly and I really needed to learn how to run a brush through my hair and think about my appearance more when I'm out with her son. And when I lost my appetite, she told me it was a good thing that I'm watching what I eat because it would be a shame if I got any bigger. This was my first meeting with this woman, and as soon as I got into my car, I burst into tears until I got home. I told my boyfriend I needed some time. He went into apology overload, and this started by sending me flowers to my office every day and leaving me messages. He said he spoke with his mom and promised this would never happen again. With this reassurance, I decided to give it another chance.
Story time about how my boyfriend was cheating on me with my stepsister. So a little background information, my mom remarried whenever I was in 8th grade, and my stepdad had 2 daughters. One which was my age and we got along really well. Well, before my sisters and I went back to school, my mom wanted to go on a camping trip with everyone. And my boyfriend was coming because he was really close with my family. So while my stepsister and I are packing up, she starts acting really weird. And we're gonna call my boyfriend Kevin. She was like, oh, is Kevin still coming with us? And I was like, yeah. And then she goes, oh, are you and Kevin still together? And I'm like, we were never broken up. Like, the fuck? Like I said, she was just being super fucking weird. But anyways, we all get in the car, we drive up there, and her and Kevin start being super weird around each other. Like, they were being too touchy. Anytime that I wanted to go do something with Kevin, she would say, oh, Kevin, you can come do this instead. Well, that night, Kevin and I are sleeping in our tent. At least I thought he was. And I wake up to some loud noises in the other tent, like for part 2.
So the reason why I'm getting a divorce, because when I woke up, it was my birthday. My wife didn't acknowledge my birthday. My son didn't acknowledge my birthday. I went to work. My co-workers didn't acknowledge my birthday. And my manager called me in and said, Mario. And I said, fuck. I get in there and she said, happy birthday. I said, oh, thanks. Then she said, you want to get some lunch? And I was like, okay. And then she was like, you want to go back to my place? And I was like, all right. So I went back to her place and she was like, let me step in my room. I'll be right back. She got back 5 minutes later and my kids, my co-workers, my wife was all there to say happy birthday with a cake. And I was on the couch butt naked.
Okay, so story time. So basically my story time is about the time I lied about being pregnant to almost everyone in my grade. Let's just say it didn't end well. So basically I wasn't allowed to have Snapchat because I had really strict parents. But you know, me being disobedient, and I downloaded it without their permission. Anyways, I added a lot of kids from my school and told them that I had gotten R-word and that I was pregnant. So trying to prove my point, I got pictures off the internet of fake pregnancy tests and sent them all around. Eventually, during school, I did have kids come up to me and asking if I was the girl that was pregnant. And then, one day my parents got a phone call. Surprisingly, it wasn't from the school. It was from my aunt who was a hairstylist. Apparently, one of her clients went to my school and told her about me and that I was pregnant, quote unquote. But my aunt knew it was a lie, so she told my parents. And the school found out later that week, and I got in a lot of trouble. Like, a lot. And I wasn't allowed on electronics for 2 years. All the story, don't fake being pregnant.